everybody, it's Pete Meyer at Motor Age Magazine. Welcome to another Shop Talk Live. If you read the description for today's episode, you see what we're going to be talking about today. You know, I've met a lot of great shop owners over the years with the magazine. You all have a variety of stories to tell me. Most of them came from the Bays and just decided one day to take that plunge and open up their own business. And for many that succeeded, there are a lot more that didn't. Why? It wasn't because of the technical skills they had, but the business side of things that they needed help with. Well, today's guest is going to be able to help with that situation and a whole lot more. Let me introduce to everyone here Mr. Jeff Peevy with the Automotive Management Institute. Jeff, how are you today?
Oh, hey, Pete. Well, thanks for having me, and thanks everybody for taking the time to be here. I'm looking forward to the topic we'll talk about, and maybe we can create a relationship where I can be in a position to help you. So thanks again, Pete, for having me.
Oh, I appreciate you taking the time, and I'm sure you will. I mean, Jeff, I know that you have quite a reputation on the collision side of the repair industry, and you're fairly new to the mechanical side, so why don't we step back a minute, give you a chance to tell folks a little bit about yourself and about AMI and your role there.
Okay, well, sure. Well, thanks. Yeah, I have spent a fair amount of my career on the collision repair side in the collision repair industry. But for the past, well, probably 24 years or so, I've been on the training and education side of the collision repair industry. And, you know, I grew up in the shop around mechanical service repair as well, collision repair. I've been involved in cars, been a car guy for most of my life, and it's just been something that's in my blood. I saw many years ago what training and education, it really helped shop owners and managers and technicians, the technicians around me as well as myself. The education really made a difference in my career, and somewhere along the line I got bit with that bug of trying to facilitate training and make sure there was more of an opportunity for training and for the industry. So I was with ICAR on the collision side, the Inter-Industry Conference on Automotive Repair for many years, and took on the AMI, or the Automotive Management Institute, responsibilities in May of 2015. One of the things that made this an easy choice was I had been involved with studying repair shops' relationship between technical training and shop performance. And what I saw was there were management issues and office administrative type issues that there were areas that there needed to be training, and it wasn't really as available as I believed it needed to be. And I saw world-class technicians in the shop in these businesses the business is still being hindered by the administrative and office staff and the issues that they had. And so I took on AMI back in 2015. We went through an exploration process, trying to understand what we needed to do, what we had historically done well, what things we needed to improve upon, and then we began to execute against that plan that we built as a result of that feedback. And we'll talk a little bit more about what we offer and why we offer it. And I'd like to establish those lines of communications with the listeners for feedback. We want to do the very best we can. And so AMI has grown quite a bit over the last 3 to 4 years, and there's a lot that a lot of people maybe don't know about AMI that we'll talk about. I start this webinar out with a quote. I've been for the last couple of weeks using this quote from Will Cados. He's in his book, Measuring, Managing, and Maximizing Performance. And he says, you know, it's not the 95% that's right that makes something work. It's the 5% that's wrong that just messes everything up. And I would offer that as we start this conversation, that some of that 5% is management. Some of it is just maybe not knowing. But a lot of it is soft skills, and I'm going to use that term soft skills today. I'm going to be kind of careful about it because I believe skills are skills. So that's very little maybe about myself, probably as much as anybody is interested in.
Yeah, and I know I've heard you speak about the industry tends to overlook the importance of what you're referring to, the soft skills that you're talking about. I've even heard you say that it could be the next level or competitive advantage. Can you tell us a little bit more about it, or explain that a little bit more?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Well, so let's just back up a little bit and let's talk about skills by definition, which the ability to carry out a task with predetermined results, often within a given amount of time, energy, or both. Um, Soft skills, as I would refer to it here, for clarity's sake in this presentation, would refer to interpersonal skills, social skills, communication, listening skills. Could include problem solving skills and negotiations and so forth. We are, and rightfully so, a technical industry. Most of us, like myself, started out working on a car. We loved the technical aspect of it, and we found ourselves to be good at it. And when we talk about those hard skills or technical skills, we're talking about labor skills, eye-hand coordination, and technical knowledge. Those were right down my alley for most of my career. I was for many years more comfortable under the hood of a car or spraying the quarter panel of a car than dealing with a customer in the office. But really, I would offer that we should really think about skills. Um, they're able to be defined, they're observable, and they're measurable. And I would say, which sometimes I think we've overlooked the fact that soft skills can be defined. They certainly can be observable, and they can be measurable in a lot of ways in the operation of a shop, mainly around customer loyalty and satisfaction, just how happy people are with what we're doing as a business. So a little deeper into the reference and soft skills, I've mentioned a few, but some of them would include even the attitude, collaboration skills, and work ethic, just attitude in general. Now we talk more about soft skills. We refer also to emotional intelligence, problem solving skills, and even time management. And when most of us come up good with technical things, we tend to often, I would say I've been guilty, and I would say a lot of our industry, we tend to not get our head around the value and the importance and the benefits of these type of skills. And we sometimes will look at soft skill type things as, well, that's just a personality trait. That's just how they are. Um, you know, Somewhere around 94% of small businesses, according to the White House Commission on Consumer Affairs, they say that 94% of small businesses fail to formally train customer facing office staff on such things as listening skills, uh, communication skills, which could include telephone skills, conflict resolution, negotiation skills. And again, you think about this country, we may be an industry of small businesses, but the truth is we are a country of small businesses. And most of them are started by entrepreneurs that are extremely technical at what they do and very just brilliant at what they do. And so sometimes it's like we say, well, we hire people with certain personality traits, and we don't think about how important it is to train and develop those type of skills. Um, Fortune 500 CEOs were surveyed in one survey that I use, and it's easy to go, well, that's those big companies, but there's some real truth and learnings around that, and they say 75% of long-term job success result from soft skills, and only 25% from technical skills, and they're actually referring to, in a lot of cases, technical type jobs, and so I would use this as an example when we talk about employee retention. So a technician in the back of the shop, maybe, or somewhere in his stall working, or he or she working in their stall. Maybe there's some things about their position there in that business that they're not happy with. Well, if they don't have the communication skills and the negotiation skills, maybe where they ought to be, they they don't feel comfortable approaching the owner management and trying to negotiate a better environment for themselves where they could be happy, where they would ultimately stay. And so as a result, they leave. and they go to another shop. And that happens not just with technicians, but with employees in general. And as we improve our communication skills and our ability to negotiate and to problem solve, we're more apt to go sit down with the owner managers and say, here's a couple of things that just I believe need to be improved. And if they were, I would be a happier employee. I believe I could be more productive. And I would certainly be happier here. And when that can happen, retention seems to go way up. And I think all of us really want to do that.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Jeff. I mean, a lot of what you said it really kind of strikes home when I think about it. All the years I spent in the bays, and I can see where a lot of techs who would come out with that high skill set, they have the knowledge. They know, as you said, they know how to fix the cars, but to open that door for business without an understanding of how to be able to communicate with different types of people. I know personally, one of my problems was always being overtly technical in an explanation to a customer about what was going on in their vehicle, when in my mind I was being simple. You know what I mean? Because I spoke the language, so to speak. So so trying to translate that to the customer was certainly a soft skill that I lacked. Others that you could see handling a customer conflict. I mean, we've all seen instances where maybe that person didn't have a really good day. Maybe the boss was really on his case, and he comes to pick up the vehicle, and you're the easiest thing to take it out on. How do you deal with that, right? It's like, do you rise up to the challenge and meet him, toe to toe, or do you realize what's going on and why it's going on? But there's ways to, as on the technical side, there are ways to learn and master those soft skills. So what role does AMI play in making that happen?
Well, so we have a few more dots to connect here with that, because I think that this is a conversation, and I'm very pleased to see this conversation growing in our industry. So I'm going to back up a little bit, and I'm going to talk about listening skills, because my wife, AMI has an online course on listening skills, and my wife has told me on several occasions that I probably should take that course first thing every morning, because some of these soft skills, there's some debate about whether there needs to be role playing in order to learn, but I can tell you from experience that just raising or heightening the awareness, I'll use listening skills because it's probably one of my weakest areas. I don't listen well. I have to consciously think about it when I need to be listening. So let's just talk about listening skills. If we have an online course that we use, and we've had some shops that the entire staff in the shop has taken this 45-minute course on listening skills. And when the whole shop takes it, and it raises the level of awareness around what is active listening. What is it when someone's needing to tell you something, from the customer who walks in the door who's expressing maybe a need or an interest or a concern, all the way back to relaying this information back and forth in the shop to make sure that everything is properly communicated. Those listening skills, just becoming aware that we typically are poor listeners. Only 2% of adults in the United States have formal listening skills training. And when you can train your shop on listening skills, from listening to the customer to listening to each other, you'll see a notable improvement in accuracy. And so that's one little small thing that I use as an example, but I think it's an important one, and it's one that hits really home to me. And here's the other thing I always say about soft skills, that it doesn't just help you at work, it helps you at home. So if you have employees that are taking soft skills, listening, communication, negotiation skills, all those sort of things, those are skills that once you heighten your awareness, you become more aware of them when you're doing it, and you realize where your weaknesses are, and you tend to just start to work on it because you're more aware of it. So when that happens, you take that home, and that can actually improve your relationships at home. And again, like I've mentioned, my wife tells me I should do the listening skills every day before I start, just to heighten my awareness. So we'll connect the dots then back to AMI by going through this trail. Training in soft skills, and training in education in general. Let's just say professional development, and in this case, soft skills. improves employee engagement. So let's go there, and that will connect the dots into AMI. So an engaged employee is one who is fully absorbed by and enthusiastic about their work, and so they take positive action to further the organization's reputation and interest. And Gallup poll, they do one every couple of years, a State of the American Worker. They noted back even in 2013 and then in 2015 that engagement levels among frontline, that would be customer-facing employees across the board in the U.S., are the lowest of any occupation or role that Gallup measures. And that the thing that's more disturbing is it continues to decline while other engagement in other categories are increasing. So it's a space. I'm a gray-headed guy, and it's quick for me to go, well, maybe the computer and the social media and us not having as much face-to-face with each other really impacts that. And I think there may be something to that. But think about it. If engagement levels among our customer-facing employees is the lowest of any, really at any time that it's ever been, we really need to understand how educating and professional development in these soft skills that we often overlook play into employee engagement. So that same American Worker poll noted that about 30% of the U.S. full-time workers were engaged, that they worked with passion and they felt a profound connection to the company they worked, and they drove innovation and really moved the company forward. And 52% were not engaged, and that means that they've really checked out. They're more or less sleepwalking. They're doing their job, but that's all they're doing. They're putting in their time, but they're not really putting in their energy, their concern, their passion. They're doing no more than they have to. And then there's another 18 or so percent that are actively disengaged. And that they're not just unhappy at work, but they're acting out their unhappiness, and they're undermining what engaged workers are accomplishing. So you really, as a shop owner, manager, anyone managing a business, needs to be very aware of engagement, employee engagement. And I think most of us probably can quickly identify the engaged and the actively disengaged. The most concerning group is that group that's they're doing their job, but they're not doing any more. They're not bringing their passion and their energy. They're harder to identify for sure. So let's just keep connecting the dots. So if soft skills training around listening, interpersonal, and communication skills can result in engaged employees. And keep in note, there's one other thing that is really needs to be noted. In that survey, they note that a 70% variance in engagement levels come as a result of management. And a little over 28% is consistent with soft skills training. So being a good manager, being fair, communicating yourself well, paying attention to your employees, and really trying to make sure that you're creating a good environment and engaging with them tends to impact their engagement in your business. And then another almost 30% has to do with soft skills training and professional development. And then that ties into great customer service. When you've got someone who is engaged in your business and they bring their passion and their energy, and they are one of your frontline employees facing the customer, that's when you have really good customer service, and customer loyalty really begins to build. Sometimes that's really missed because we think it's a personality trait thing. There's two areas in that poll that I would call out, and one is that those that were engaged, the reason they said that 2 out of 12 was that there is someone at work that encourages my development. And then the other one was that within the last year, they had an opportunity to work and to learn and grow. And so you can see that sometimes we will complain about, well, my boss wants me to take this training, but ultimately all of the information and statistics point to the fact that though we may complain about it and, well, we got to take the time to train, in the end, most employees recognize that they're being invested in and that the employer cares enough about them that they are wanting them to be all they can be for their own sake and for the sake of business. So then that improves customer satisfaction. A dissatisfied customer will tend to tell 9 to 15 people about their experience. Again, according to the White House Office of Consumer Affairs, another 13% dissatisfied customers within that group will tell over 20 people. And then when you throw in social media, that magnifies that and just puts a big multiplication to that. And yet 78% of customers, according to a study that Genesis Global Services did, said 78% of customers say that competent customer service staff are most responsible for their happy experience because they listened and communicated with them. And that ties those soft skills back to an engagement level that shows to the customer. Engaged employees are the most productive. They make the least mistakes. They tend to steal less or not at all because they tend to not steal. Remember, they're engaged in the business with their passion and their energy. They're driving forward the business. They take the least amount of sick days, and they tend to stay at the business the longest, and they make customers the happiest. But management requires good business management. Engagement requires good management and professional development. And I will tell you that as I go around the country and interact with shops and small businesses, and the more technical we tend to be, the easier it is for us to overlook that. So, training and development in non-technical soft skills, to me, is in fact the next level of competitive advantage. And that leads to really how AMI can help. And Pete, I think you have some slides that I sent over. I'd like to visually show these as I talk about AMI and how we can help, because I do think it's really important. One of the things that the Automotive Management Institute, obviously we spend a lot of energy focusing on management training. We don't actually create the content for training. Our role is more around creating a path or a career path or some sort of a framework for all of the good training in the industry to be organized in. So we have, for a beginning, we start with customer service certificate. We believe that all good management and all good business practices start with a solid customer service experience. So we offer a customer service experience. We offer one specific to mechanical service repair shops. We have another one specific to collision repair shops. It requires 30 credit hours of training, all of which is online. Then another 30 credit hours, resulting in 6 credit hours. We'll get the first professional designation that we offer, which is the Accredited Automotive Office Manager. Again, there's one for the service side, and there's another for the collision side. And then another 60 credit hours will achieve the next professional designation, the Accredited Automotive Manager. Many people have seen the AAM. Again, there's one for collision, there's one for the mechanical service repair side, and then ultimately there is a Master Automotive Manager. It's 180 credit hours. And so if you can go to the next slide, we'll keep these visuals going and see if it kind of helps. But again, I've really already mentioned these. We are for mechanical service repair. Just a heads up to everyone, we are developing a service advisor professional designation that will be pretty comprehensive. We have a little ways to go, and we will launch that just as soon as we possibly can. On the collision side, we also have some estimator professional designations. And then the next slide really shows how we structure this. So we take the training that's in the industry, some of which is online that we now host in our MyAMI learning portal. Others are taught in live instructor-led classes. And we organize those into relevant educational tracks. And then they build upon one another. We also now offer credits for webinars like this one, and for podcasts and articles. And of course, we have over 200 online courses. And I don't know for sure if the audience can see the slides really well, but I'll point to kind of what this means, and that is the dark blue represents what we refer to our core competencies. And the customer service starts out with 18 credit hours of core competencies and another 12 of elective credits. And then there is another or more core competency credit hours of 32 total for the managements. Once you achieve your core competency credit hours, then you begin to build upon the electives. You can identify courses that are that address maybe some weaknesses or some areas that you know you need to learn in, or just areas that you're interested in. So it provides a higher level of flexibility. The next slide kind of puts that all together, and so if you have a customer service person, or a person that's really been really good in the office, has good work ethics, you can start them on this path of working their way through these. From customer service certificate, obviously there's these levels of recognized achievement. We do graduations twice a year, and you can even send your staff or yourself to these cap and gown graduations. And then the next slide, I believe, points to how to get started. If you go to amionline.org, and then in the top right-hand corner of that our website, there is a My AMI login, and that's how you get to our learning portal called My AMI. And there's over 200 online courses. Some are segment specific and operational in nature. There's HR courses, there's soft skills training, there's leadership training of all kinds. So it's certainly a resource. It's available, and it's easy to use. Once you get in there and get used to it, we have a chat feature, so we have someone that can be right there to coach you through it. And then also, if you see on the slide, there's an orange arrow that points to the course catalog, and then those catalogs are right there on the website, so you can see all of the different courses. So you can just keep going there. You've pointed that arrow to the My AMI, so you can choose your segment and get started. I will tell you that the next slide here points to something that we've been involved with on the collision side. We were chosen by the FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automobile organization. They have a certified collision program. They chose us to host their training. And the next slide points to some of this. And though this is collision specific, I bring this up because there is a course on how to use tech authority, looking up OEM procedures, as well as there is a series of YTech courses. There's scanning program, YTech 2.0. There's a course, an online course on fundamentals. There's another one on flashing and ECU, and another one on flight recordings. So those are good for anyone who work on FCA vehicles. And even though you may not even have the YTech 2.0 program, those really are good at understanding how that whole computer system really works. And then you can just move all the way to the last slide. And I would tell you that AMI is built on customer service. We're built on supporting the industry and those that want to learn. The fastest way to get any response from us, probably other than calling us or calling me on my cell phone, there's my cell phone number right there, by the way, the 224 number, is to use the supporting success at amionline.org. And there's several of us that tag team answering that, so we can jump on there and help you with your questions. I mentioned that we have online support. Once you get into our learning management or learning portal, we have someone there that can walk you through any questions that you have. And then there is my email address, jpeevy@amionline.org. Feel free to shoot me an email. I'll be glad to help you any way I can, as well as there's my personal cell phone there that I offer, because I really would like to see people be able to get involved and develop professionally, and we want to support that as much as we can. So Pete, that really kind of goes through a little bit of that little short spiel there.
Well, that's quite a bit, Jeff. I was very listening intently as you're going through the material, and there's just a few things that kind of struck me that I wanted to share with those who are watching or will be watching, this episode. Again, when I listen to someone with Jeff's experience and the, how can I say it, sometimes the wording is a little above me. When we're talking about, and which is no reflection on Jeff at all. But what he's saying is making a lot of sense. And I think about the days I spent in the shop and working for a number of different employers, from full line dealers to chains to the mom and pop, and all of them had similar characteristics, and we all know what it's the guys and the girls in the back. Do we feel like the boss is really listening to us or caring about us, or has we want to make suggestions for improvement. We want the business to succeed, because if it succeeds, we're going to succeed. So we have that vested interest when we're first coming in. But I think where a lot of it comes into on both sides of the coin is we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what skill sets we need to be able to communicate that effectively, for example, to our employer, to our supervisor, and them to us. And AMI offers you an opportunity to learn from some of the very best in the business. In fact, if you've been at any live training event anywhere in the country, many of the management courses or seminars that you see featured have AMI credits associated with them. So not only are you really learning a skill set, but you're building your progress toward earning a professional certificate in your industry that's as valuable as any ASE certification you might have on the technical side. So these can really help you guys. And I think Jeff was alluding earlier. Let's see if he's still going to stand up to what he told me off the clock. If you're watching this and you watch through the end, Jeff's even going to help you get started with your very first credit hour. Jeff, you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, sure. And you may even want to put my email address back up there. If you will send me an email, jpeevy@amionline.org, and let me know, express your interest in obtaining 1 credit hour for listening to this this webinar. I will make sure that you get credit. If you don't have an account within our system, we'll get you one set up, and we'll walk you through that and answer your questions and get you started with that 1 credit hour. And one thing I will mention, because sometimes this is easy to overlook the importance of. We develop and manage professional designations for management and mainly the administrative front office type roles within our industry. Professional designations are something that are important to a lot of industries. Most of you that have a bookkeeper, they often will have the certified public accountant or CPA professional designation. It requires ongoing training, and they maintain it. It's important to that industry. If you were to park your car at a hospital and walk across the landscaping into the building, the landscaping industry, 1 out of 10 landscaping owner managers hold industry recognized professional designations for the landscaping industry, and it's important to them, and that number is growing very quickly. Once you get into the hospital and you look at the staff that works at that hospital, put their college education, their medical education aside, 75% of those within the hospital hold a professional designation within their industry. Unfortunately, in our industry, often we don't put the value of professional designations in the same place that a lot of other industries do, and I'm just determined to try to help drive that. I think it's something that we should be expecting and requiring of ourselves and those that we would hire in management and leadership positions, because it is something that has to be maintained and something that helps mature our industry and helps our industry be looked at more professionally, both internally and externally.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too that you're referencing there, Jeff. I mean, consider it, if you own a shop and you're in the market for a counter staff or a service advisor or a shop foreman or any type one of those supervisory and management roles in your business, how much more weight is that going to provide for that candidate if they're able to show you they have this professional designation, that they've taken it upon themselves? It's just like going to college to earn your base competencies, which we've all done. If you have any kind of college background, you know you have those fundamental programs that you have to have as a foundation, and then the elective courses that you're taking on top of that to further hone your skills. So it just shows that much more for that individual candidate. Now, we're very proud at Motor Age and our sister publication, ABRN, to have recently joined with AMI and some very recognized trainers to provide certified content in the form of webinars that we're now offering. Many of you have saw the one with Jeremy O'Neill from Advisor Fix, when he was showing you how to sell diagnostic services to your customer, recoup what's probably the single biggest labor cost that you have. And as a technician, I remember doing an awful lot of diagnostics and not getting paid for it, so I can relate to that, right? So it's a great course to take, and it's available for credit. You can actually go to AMI's website and look that course up right now. Take it right now. Same, we have one for the collision industry coming up next week with Keith Manich from ATI, another highly recognized instructor in the collision market industry. And he's taking on a fantastic topic. If you're in that market, you know that right now it's a challenge when you go to the insurers to get paid what you are supposed to get paid. You know, you're being torn between, you know, doing it the way the OEM tells you to do it, or the way the industry says the industry standards are, you know, and there's a lot of gray area in there. So how do you overcome that? How do you make sure that you're not only repairing the car properly, but you're getting paid for doing so? This is just a few small samples of the kind of content that you'll find with AMI and their course catalog. I encourage all of you to, at the very least, go to the AMI website, take a look at some of the titles there. I know you'll find things of interest, and if you're used to going to get training on the technical side to keep up, hey, if you have the vision of one day becoming your own business owner, or moving from the back to the front office to become in a management position, or maybe run an outlet for your chain, wherever the case might be, this is where you start putting the building blocks in place to get you ready for that, right? So, you know,
well, and Pete, I'd go back to that too. You know, technical training. There was, for years, it was something that differentiated shops. The shops that trained and the shops that didn't. And the complexity of the vehicle is getting it to where you really have to train technically in order to even have any idea how to repair the vehicle, as well as equipment to repair it. But I believe that next level of competitive advantage is going to be the technical, the equipment, and then the soft skills training. You put all that together, a shop's very hard to compete with.
It would be, and I can see where just some of the basic soft skills that you're referencing a lot more clear in my mind now, having listened to you. I hope it's the same for all of them who's watching. Hey, I want to thank Jeff so much for taking the time to share that with us today. I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more together. So until next time, this is Pete Meyer with Motor Age Magazine. See you next time on Shop Talk Live.
Thank you.